Today's topic is a very counterintuitive one which goes against every fiber of my being. I mean, our instincts as parents at the first sign of our child's discomfort is usually to fix the problem, remove the source of discomfort, but it turns out it may be the last thing they need. Welcome back to Mom with Dr. Tash. Hello, Dr. Tash.
Hi, Melody. It's lovely to see you again.
It is, and we're here to discuss an uncomfortable concept, the idea that when our children are in distress, sometimes it's not about telling them something like, it's okay, you're okay, even when that's the truth. Instead, and I'm going to defer to the expert here, Dr. Tash, what should we do?
Yeah, I think the easiest way to understand this is to actually picture yourself in a moment of distress. So imagine you've received really terrible news or something really unexpected and frightening has happened. Your heart is racing, you feel shaken, you feel terrible, and someone you love looks at you and says, "It's okay, you're okay." Now, you may logically be okay, but at that moment you really don't feel okay. And how does that land? For most of us, it doesn't calm us. Like, it
Sometimes I feel
actually
like
makes,
punching the person.
yeah, I mean, it makes you go, like, you have no idea what's going on for me. Like, and so it suddenly makes you feel totally alone because it's like, okay, we're in a complete disconnect at the moment in terms of, I'm not okay. Can you not see what's going on here? I'm talking about us as adults. Like, we've all had that experience. You're like, are you thinking? What are you thinking? And I'm not saying that to criticize us as parents, but like, I'm just trying to help us to understand what it feels like. And in that experience, we don't feel seen, we don't feel heard, we don't feel understood. And that's exactly what happens with our kids. So our instinct as parents is, because we love them, we want to make them feel better. We want to remove that discomfort, to reassure, to fix. Like, we say things like, "It's okay, you're okay," because we want them to be okay. And we want to try and distract them or solve whatever just happened. And I want to say, don't get me wrong, there's a time and place for distraction. I'm not suggesting there isn't. But the thing is, sometimes the child doesn't actually need the problem solved at that moment. What they need is to feel understood. What they need to feel is, I'm not alone in this feeling. A bit like, go back to what we were talking about before, and you're standing there feeling terrible. What makes most of us feel better in that moment is having someone just turn around and go, "It's really hard, isn't it? Like, I get it. Like, it feels terrible." They're not fixing anything, but all of a sudden you're thinking, "You're right, like, I'm not alone in this. Like, thank you for seeing my distress. Thank you for seeing my discomfort. Thank you for seeing my struggle." And that's what I'm sort of talking about. Like, this is a concept of being able to be with someone in the experience of going, I'm not going to fix my child's distress, but I'm going to offer emotional presence as the comfort. And that is actually the foundation for co-regulation. And so it's not doing nothing. It's actually doing something very, very intentional that's very difficult to do, might I add. And it's choosing to acknowledge what's actually real for them instead of trying to move on quickly to the place that usually feels more comfortable for us, if that makes
Because,
sense.
yes, because it's like, when my kid, say, for example, he's at the playground and he can't climb a certain thing or other, and then he starts crying because he's upset about that. The natural reaction is, oh, like, let me help you, let me lift you up and um, help you over the obstacle or something like that. Like, we're talking something physical. And so you're saying that, well, there is that option, but there is the other option is you and going, hey, I understand it's really hard, isn't it?
I mean, if you use the physical example and you try and bring it back to the emotional as well, in that physical example, if we come into the child every time really quickly and help them whenever they start to struggle, what they learn is, I'm not supposed to struggle. It's supposed to be easy. And the second it's hard, I need someone to do it for me because I can't do it myself. And so they don't learn the resilience of going, okay, I'm going to struggle a bit. I might even fall a little bit on this, but I'm going to learn how to climb this. And so it takes them much longer to get there to be able to climb that structure. It's similar from an emotional perspective as well. If every time our children are struggling, they sort of get hit with, I'm going to fix your need, I'm going to fix your need. The lesson they learn in that is, struggling is wrong. feeling discomfort or difficulty is wrong. But resilience is learnt through hard times, not through good times. Like we get to be stronger, we get to be resilient, we get to grow in that setting. Growth really happens when things are a little bit challenging, not super challenging, but just that little bit challenging beyond just what we're capable of doing, that pushes us so that, oh, actually I can do this. And then we come across that sort of situation again and we can do that as well. And I think this concept of being able to be with someone, it's not specific to just you're having a hard feeling or you're having a good feeling. The concept is basically being able to go, okay, how do I just experience this journey with you? You're on a journey which is going to have some ups, it's going to have some downs. And rather than feeling like it's only the ups that should ever be experienced, realizing that the downs are a part of life and that we all have them, and that there's just finding that place of balance, I suppose you could say, of going, how do we journey through this together? And I think the reason I try and give that analogy to us of, or not analogy, that experience of let's see it in our own eyes, is that when we see it in an adult point of view, sometimes it's really easy. You go, of course I'd hate someone to speak to me like that. Like, why would I be okay with that? Like, or it makes me feel this, but we don't appreciate or see that that's actually a bit like the experience our child's having, if that makes sense.
I think it's because like the experience that the kids have is very different to what the adults have. Like, when I vent, I know that when I vent to my husband, I know that it's not a problem that he can fix, but I just wanted to vent and I just want him to listen. But when it's our kid who is basically, I think in a sense you could say that they are kind of venting as well. But because it's something that we know we can fix, we just go, well, I'm gonna fix it because you're venting, I can fix it, I'll fix it.
Yeah. And it's because we want to make it better for them. Like it's this is driven by love. It is always driven by love. You're trying to help them. You're trying to make it better for them. But actually helping them help themselves is probably the best thing we can ever do. So sometimes it's stepping back and going like, oh, okay, how can I help you? And like, or even not putting our hands on straight away of talking through it. Sometimes like a child can achieve something just by being supported a little bit. It's like, oh, okay, like let's work through this. And don't get me wrong, we're talking about some physical stuff at the moment, but when people are starting to get really frustrated, that's not the time to push on. A sort of topic of itself as well, but like when kids are really struggling with a physical task, sometimes we push it going, well, you can do it. No. Meet them where they're at. If they're saying, no, I really need your help, you need to meet them where you're at. Everything about being with someone is being able to just try and appreciate and recognize where are they at in this moment. And sometimes the same person is completely independent in one thing, but actually genuinely still needs you to meet that need. And so significant frustration is not what you push through. It's going, okay, let's do this together. I'm here with you. Connection always first. So when the connection feels like it's breaking, pull back and help a bit more, for instance, in that sort of physical example. It's if you keep the focus on the connection, and remember, connection doesn't have to mean happy, but if you keep the focus on connection, then it can help you navigate those aspects, if that makes sense. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's really important to recognize as well that connection does not mean happy. You can be connected to your child, and the child can be incredibly unhappy and not thanking you in that particular moment. And that doesn't mean you're not remaining connected or having a connected approach to the way you parent with your child. I think it's an important distinction, because when we think that they have to be happy at all times, we run a really big risk of trying to make everything easy and or just give in to every whim. And that's not actually what our children need. And sort of going back to what we were talking about before, like in the article, I shared a story about my toddler crying when we suddenly and unexpectedly left him alone in the corridor with a new nanny. And from his perspective, we disappeared. Like, mum and dad are there, now they've just gone. And so when my husband had tried to reassure him with it's okay, you're okay, he really meant well with what he was trying to do. But from my son's perspective, he really wasn't okay. It's like, I'm not okay, you just vanished. Like, where is this? And so that reassurance didn't calm him. It actually escalated him for that same reason as what we described in the adult example before. He's going, well, you don't see what actually just happened to me. I'm not okay. Like, that was terrifying. Like, where were you? And the reason, and so obviously because I know this, like I stepped into the doorway, looked at him, mirrored some of the feeling he was having as that sort of visual cue that I'm experiencing what you're experiencing. I understand. And all they said was, that was really scary, wasn't it? And you could see it almost instantly. His body began to soften, his cry slowed. I gave him a cuddle, and, like, it wasn't that long before he was back to his usual self. And I remember both my husband and the nanny had said, yeah, and I sort of explained the concept to them, and, like, yeah, I need to try this more, because it was so visibly clear. And I'm not saying that every time you're being with a child's feelings is going to be that obvious or that fast. I think the only reason it was that quick was because it was a fear illustration where it was like fear is shock, surprise, fear was able to be navigated through far faster than, say, significant grief, for instance, or significant anger. They're big feelings that are going to take a lot longer for the child to process. And that's really what you're doing. You're trying to provide an emotionally safe environment, be the emotional anchor for the child to journey through whatever experience or feeling it is that they're trying to have, if that makes sense.
Yes. But I do have a question.
Absolutely.
So, you're talking about naming these emotions, right? We helping them name this fear. So in a way, it's I guess it's building emotional literacy. And you saying in your example, you're saying that you mirrored it and you voiced out the feelings that your kid is having. In your article, you also talked about a child having a meltdown because they were disappointed because they were given a potato cake, instead of because they were expecting a cookie. So you kind of know you knew that, right? You could mirror it because you could name what they're having. But I'm thinking how sometimes, you don't know why they've got the big feelings or even how to name it. Um, are they frustrated? Are they disappointed? Are they sad? Who knows? How do you how?
It's true. You don't. The reality is you don't. But the thing is, you don't need to get it exactly right. You don't need to be perfect in it. Also, tone matters a lot. So sometimes it's just the emotional feel and the tone that matters more than the exact words you say. So you don't need to get the emotion exactly right. But before I keep going, is there a time that comes to mind to you when you weren't really sure what the feeling actually was?
There was a reason why I asked that question. Um, so I was just thinking back to my son. So he's in primary school. Homework, he does homework, he has homework, right? And every time when he needs to do homework, it's like massive, big feelings. And I'm thinking he's angry because, he would rather be playing because, well, I mean, yes, which kid loves homework? So I usually I'll try to empathize with him, right? I'll do the whole mirroring. Oh, I know you're angry. It's annoying that you have to do homework when you could be playing, but it's what we have to do. And he agrees with me. He even agrees with me, but it didn't feel like it was working still. I mean, he agrees, but there's still big feelings and it's still going. It doesn't feel like it's working. Then months later, and this was just completely by accident, I discovered that he doesn't like doing homework because he feels dumb. He's angry with himself and he's frustrated because he can't get the right answer. So all these months I've been naming the right emotion. He's angry, I guess. But it was addressing the wrong reason. And so I'm just thinking if I had gone back all those months and gone, I know you're angry because you feel dumb. I don't know. Would it have solved the problem?
Yeah, no, it's a great example. And I think it does highlight a couple of things. So, firstly, we don't have to get it exactly right. But another aspect of that is often the child doesn't know. And I mean that in the setting, if you think of us as adults, there are sometimes you're like, I'm feeling uncomfortable, I'm feeling this, but you don't really know what your trigger was, if that makes sense. Like it takes a lot of time to really learn to understand what our own what emotion is we are feeling. And I think when you spend a lot of time as an adult doing it, you get better at it. But say you've never had that experience as an adult or you're still young as a child, you haven't really learnt what this feeling is, if that makes sense. Like labeling feelings doesn't come intuitively. It doesn't come naturally. It actually comes with learnt experience and modeling and re-experiencing, going, oh, that's what that felt like. Oh yeah, I think I am angry. Like that, I see others. Like, it's two things. It's one, what you see from other people, modeling that emotion and how they label it, and two, that experience of feeling it inside on a repeated basis. And so at first, you can go. The child might be able to identify as something feels icky, or something feels wrong. I don't like this feeling. Like, I identify all that. But in terms of teasing it out, am I feeling anger? Am I feeling sadness? Am I feeling frustration? And then a step behind it, in your son's example, what's driving that is actually a couple of more like quite complex steps, if that makes sense. And so to begin with, they might not know. They really might not know. And so when you go, I think you're feeling angry because you want to go play, he goes, yeah, that sounds like a great reason. Mum's more experienced and smarter than I am, so surely that's what's going on. And so we've got to be careful with how we label it to our kids, because they're inclined to agree with us. Like, if you think of a toddler, sometimes you're like, why did you keep saying yes when someone asks
Yeah.
them, like, yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I know
yeah.
the answer is no. Why are you still saying yes? There's an inclination to be agreeable, especially with those they love a lot, because you're wanting to please. There's a natural instinct to want to please them because you want to stay connected. And so, firstly, they might not know. And so, within that, when they don't know and we can't label it, we shouldn't be feeling frustrated, because the reality is we can't label this. We're trying to tease out, what we're trying to work through them is teasing out, how do I figure out what it is I'm feeling? And how do I learn to label it with time? And so, rather than trying to be, and the second aspect of this is, one aspect of emotional intelligence, when you sort of start looking into the deeper levels, is that you can never, ever know with certainty what someone else is feeling or experiencing unless they tell you.
Yeah, I completely true.
The thing is, you can have an inkling, so you can have an idea. I mean, if you've done a lot of work dealing with your own emotions, working with other people, you can have a degree of what we call attunement and emotional understanding of what's going on. But no matter how experienced you are, you can never know. And that is the very concept of emotional intelligence. When you do some of those things, they look at and go, oh, okay, what's this person feeling? And the whole concept is you answer and you go, no, that's the thing, you don't know. Like, unless someone tells you, you don't know. And that's not to criticize us. That's actually to make it go, okay, well, it's physically impossible to know with certainty what someone else is experiencing and feeling. And so, therefore, what I like to say is, okay, given we know that, in the language we use when we're talking to our kids, rather than being certain, because the reality is we can't be certain, to try and be a bit more curious. So instead of saying you're angry, it might be, this feels really hard. Like, or so state the observation, for instance. It's like, oh, I see that this is really hard for you at the moment. You're having a hard time doing this homework. But rather than going straight to like going, you're angry, it's like, I wonder if, are we feeling a bit frustrated by something? And so you can tell that they're frustrated. So you can sort of say like, I wonder if that's what you're feeling, but you're leaving a degree of openness to sort of give them a chance to talk back, if that makes sense, or add to the experience. And the reality is, when they don't know early on, they might be like, yeah, I don't know. Like, when our kids say, I don't know, sometimes they really don't know what's going on. And I think allowing space for that, but by modeling that language and by getting used to speaking in that sort of way, that helps. It makes a really big difference in terms of going, oh, okay. And also doing it ourselves when we go, oh, I'm feeling so frustrated right now. Like, when something happens, we're actually modeling to our child that's watching us have that experience, going, okay, so that's the emotion you're feeling in this moment. And how we respond to our own feelings also shows them whether that's acceptable or not acceptable as well. But that's a whole big extra topic. But I think, in short, you don't have to get the emotion right, because the reality is you're not going to know, not with certainty, but to shift to slightly more curious language in the way we approach it, leaves that openness to be able to take that river journey. And I say river journey because it's nice and curvy and you don't really know where you're going to end up, to figure it out in time.
Sense, because yeah, what I do is, oh, you're feeling this because of this, and that's just giving him the formula, so to speak. But instead, it's more of, are you feeling this because of this?
Yeah. Or
Yeah,
even just like, I see it's really hard, or I see you're really frustrated. Uh, do you want to talk about it?
Yeah.
Like,
I
what are
like
you feeling?
I like your reminder though about the whole I don't know because yeah, there are times when I ask him why are you feeling this way or how you feeling or along those lines, and then I get a, I don't know, and I'm like, if you don't know, how do I know? But yeah, you're right. It's they really don't know.
They're not trying to. They're not just trying to be a pain in the butt, for lack of a better term. It's sometimes it's real. I don't know. Like I don't know why I'm feeling so angry. I don't know why I'm feeling so frustrated, and sometimes that's because teenagers, especially, are big toddlers. Like no, seriously, you toddlerhood is practicing for teenagehood because it's navigating big feelings, big emotions, and everything, but with a whole lot more intelligence. Um, and ability to defend and talk back and everything else as well. And so it's uh, our teens are really struggling. Like adolescence is a really hard time because often you get projected as you're an adult in terms of you should act like an adult, but they're not. They're fundamentally, developmentally not. And so they really mean it when it's like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what this feeling is inside me. I don't like it. I feel icky and I'm going to be irritable about it, but I don't really know what's driving it.
There's the other thing that I really liked about what you said before about this whole thing of attunement, right? And I think, yes, it does make sense because in recent times, okay, one of the patterns, I never noticed it myself, but one of the patterns that my son has picked up in recent times, I've noticed, is that I do get a little bit stressed and a little bit short when I know I'm running late or when I'm trying to get out of the house. And so now every time my son pulls me up and he's go, "Are you feeling a bit stressed because you're late?" Like he recognizes it. And then that's when I go, "Oh, yes, I am." And so well, I like to think I'm attuned to my child, but this time it's like my child's being attuned to me.
Mm.
And yeah, I like that. It's like, the more I'm I guess what I'm trying to think out of this is that the more you practice it, the more you're going to be able to recognize it in each other.
Absolutely. 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 Anything gets better with practice. And I think it's always important to remember those analogies. Like my favorite one is the infant learning to walk. An infant learning to walk, when they first start trying, falls all the time. Like face plant, pain here, everywhere. But the more you practice, the better you get. You fall less, you start getting, and that's the same with everything in life, but very, very relevant to this sort of thing. Because I think sometimes, especially when parents are trying to do this sort of stuff for the first time, they're like, okay, I've heard the concept, it makes sense, perfection, I'm going to get it right. But if you've never done it before, the reality is you're not. Like, you're really, really not. And that's okay because when you're learning a skill, and this is a skill, you don't get it right straight away, and it takes time and it takes practice, and that's okay. And so I think what's more is about normalizing things, as in actually anything you choose to do, being attuned to your child, talking in emotional language, trying to sit with your child's feelings rather than fix them. You go, oh, okay, cool. The concept makes sense. I like it. I'm going to try it. And then you go, but I didn't get it right. Of course, you didn't get it right. It's new. And that's okay.
It's funny that you said that because this is other thing that I feel like we need to normalize.
Mhm.
It's the fact that, we talk about attunement, we talk about being with our kid, but, and I'm going to normalize this. I feel uncomfortable when my kid has big feelings, not just because I want to fix things for my child, right? It's the fact that when they're crying, when they're upset, when they have these big emotions, I'm feeling all of that too, and I do not like it. So I'm not calm. But then you're saying, we have to be calm and then let them borrow our calm and help them recognize all of these feelings. Can't do that.
I I laugh because I don't doubt that there are parents listening right now who are thinking, "Yep, that's exactly it." And because the other reality is, I totally hear you and I get it. And like, I want you to know that. Like, the other day, I had all three kids screaming in the car on the way to swimming. And I don't mean like, little, ah. I mean, there was screaming. It was loud. It was chaotic. It was not calm. And I was not calm. I snapped. And not unsurprisingly, that just made it all louder and a bigger problem as well. And I felt that guilt almost straight away. But actually, that guilt really helped me in that moment because it made me pause. It made me pause and go, okay, I am flooded. And realize that I was so frustrated and tense and built up and worked up in the moment that there was no calm that they were going to borrow from me. I had to do some me work before we were going to get anywhere further. And like that helped me to actually, that guilt helped me just go, okay, I need to pause, stop. How do we do things differently? And took some breaths, unclenched my jaw, let my shoulders drop. And literally at this moment, I did nothing. So I'm sitting trying to work on me while there is absolute mayhem still erupting around me. But I knew that I was utterly useless to them until I was at least a little bit more grounded. Now, let's be real. I was never going to find Zen in that moment. I was never going to find total peace and total calm. But you're not aiming for that. You're just trying to get grounded enough that you can be the parent, the leader, have some calm, have enough calm that you can give them something to borrow, if that makes sense. And so I focused on me until I'd calmed myself down enough and then apologized, acknowledged it had been hard, and slowly, intensity in the car started to come down. And I'm not going to say it just came down straight away. Like there was, even after the apologies, there's still lots of crying and lots of screaming. But as I was calm and I was consistently giving them that message that I'm still there with them, that helped slowly to bring it down. And acknowledging each of their feelings and where they were at with it. The situation hadn't changed, but because I'd changed and I changed the way I spoke to them, that was helping bring things down, if that makes sense. Because when we're escalated, it's true for me, when I'm escalated, everything else escalates too. But when I'm grounded or I can find some calm, it actually gives them something to lean into. And so you're right. Our children cannot borrow calm that does not exist. And it's not about faking it either. It's not about going, okay, I've got to pretend I'm calm when I'm not calm. It's actually genuinely going, okay, I can't be for you what you need me to be until I sort myself out first. And so that might be, I'm taking a moment. I just need to have a second. I need a second. And it's, so the most loving thing you can do sometimes is to pause, find a way to create the calm, not by making something that doesn't exist, but by working on you first, if that makes sense. So what does that look like in real life? It can be something of just going up to them and going, I'm not calm right now. It's noticing I'm not calm right now. It might be taking some deep breaths, unclenching your jaw. It might be literally saying nothing for a few seconds because you just don't want to make it worse than you already have, if that makes sense. And if you've already lost it, which we all do, trust me, I do, it's being able to go back and repair in that setting and going, like, it's the stuff we talked about before. It's going, yeah, all right, use that guilt. Let's turn back. I'm sorry for how I reacted. Not in a big dramatic way, but just honestly. And then sometimes it's just being able to turn around and go, I just need a second. Mummy needs a moment. I'll be right back. And not making it about them, but it's I need the moment. Not you're annoying me so much. I just need a second. I need to calm down and I'll be right back.
I'm imagining it, right? Like, let's go back to the homework situation. And, I'm sitting next to him. He's having this big, massive emotions again. And then my reaction will be, why are you so, not calm? And so my reaction should probably imagine ideal situation would be, you know what? I need a moment, walk out or whatever it is, take some deep breaths, and then come back in and go, you don't seem like you're having a very good time.
Yeah. If you're feeling strung or highly strung or whatever term you want to use, if you're feeling on edge, that is not the second to try and go, let's be connected. It's the second to go, okay, I need to deal with me first, before I can be anything to you. And that's okay. And that's okay. Let's normalize that. there are very few saints in the world who are in that zen and that perfect calm from the word go. And those that are, the second aspect of that is you need to understand that most of them have had that experience their entire life. They've had it modeled to them in the way they were raised, or they've had a lot of experience in doing it. So people that just take to this like a duck to water, it's not that they've never experienced it, it's that they've either often grown up in that environment where they've had it modeled and modeled and modeled and learnt that this is just the way you respond and react. And that's amazing. But the other reality and truth is the vast majority of the population have not had that experience. And so when you do this sort of work, you're actually making generational changes and shifts, and it is much, much harder, much more brave, and much more difficult to do. And that needs to be commended as well. And that's really important to recognize that this is hard because it's change, and changing from our innate experiences, which have been those usually that we've been brought up in, is really, really, really hard work, because it is automatic for us to go instantly back to what we know best when we're feeling stressed. And to change that narrative takes time. Remember the infant learning to walk analogy. And I like it because it's not like, sometimes you give the riding a bike analogy, but sometimes people can just be like really good at it straight away. Whereas there is no infant we've ever seen learning to walk that got up and walked. All of them have face planted at some point. Like, all of them have come with a bruise, like especially the ones that try really hard, like because they fall and get a bruise here and there. And so I love the analogy because I think it is a far more realistic illustration of what we actually experience. Like, you try this and you go, wow, I face planted with, like, emotionally face planted with my attempt to try and be connected with my kid or sit with their big feelings. But that's okay. I'm practicing, I'm learning, if that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense because, I think about the fact that I beat myself up about the fact that, I can't do this, regulation with him and being there with him in his big moments well enough all the time. Like, I beat myself about it all the time. But then, what you said just now about how this generational thing, right? And it really got me thinking about, you know what? Yes, that was what I grew up with. When we had big emotions, it's like, just be quiet. You don't have to do this. And it's like when we have big emotions, the adults have the big emotions as well, and they come down really hard. So, yes, it hasn't been modeled to me. I'm not blaming anybody. It's just what we've known. But it's because, so if it hasn't been modeled to me, of course it's going to be hard. And I like that little bit of grace that you've given us. And the other thing that I really liked about what you said as well is the whole toddler face planting, having a bruise. And it just makes me think about the fact that, when I try and I fail, I do feel very bruised because I feel like I failed. But yes, I'm still trying to walk.
But I want to normalize that for people, that that's a part of the process. It is so normal to fall and get bruised, to try and fail, as in like to try and not get it right. That's okay. Like, sometimes we're, especially parents that are really trying in this, they go, I get the concept. I love what you're saying. Yes, I'm going to do it. And it's like, it didn't work. Or not so much it didn't work, but I sucked. Like, I couldn't do it. Like, I tried so hard and I couldn't do it. You never done it before. You're the infant trying to learn for the first time. Face plant. It's normal. It's okay. And with the generational thing, I know you said it, but I really want to say it again. We're not here to criticize our parents. We're not here to criticize the last generation, like, or any generation, or our friends or anything. Most parents are doing the very, very best they can with the information that they have on hand, the resources they have around them, the support network they have, their own internal states, and everything that they have within their capacity at that time. And we know and appreciate that does not mean that it was a perfect environment or it was a perfect setting, but they've done the best they can. And so it's not trying to knock down someone else by saying that. It's just acknowledging that that's a part of our journey that we all have. Because the reality is, if you put them back, now go into their shoes, they probably had similar experiences, and they've learned from what they've learned. The reality is that these days we have so much more information, which is a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing in the setting of we have the information and we have the ability to make the changes and to try and do better. But we have so much information that it can feel like everything contradicts as well, and everything's saying this and saying that. And if I don't do everything that everyone is telling me to do, then I can't do it right. And actually, that's not helpful. And so that's why I really want to bring it back to normalizing this, to normalizing the struggle, to normalizing the challenge. And I mean, this isn't quite what the topic we're talking about, but this is so important as well, that it really is so important to be kind and gracious to ourselves, and to others, and to recognize that we're not always good at this. I know I'm not. I'm like, I can be like critical of myself, or in truth, I can be critical of my husband in the way he approaches things too. And it's actually having to try really hard to keep ourselves in check and to try and work through that compassion and grace that actually we're all doing the very best we can. And how we're learning takes time. How we're learning takes time, and that's okay. And it's okay that we're not going to get it right all the time. And it's okay that I understand the concept and I'm not going to suddenly feel calm. Or that, even no matter how much I did my me work that particular time, I didn't manage to calm down. It exploded more. And I just had to go back and repair. That's okay. If all you did was keep your children alive, safe, and all right, and you managed to repair, lady, you did a wonderful job.
So now that we've, hopefully encouraged some people and left them with less uncomfortable feelings, we're going to have to wrap up. But before that, as we do every episode, what's the one takeaway that you've got for our listeners?
I think that I would love people to take away the message that when our children have big feelings, our job is not to fix the storm. It's to be the steady anchor, or to try to be the steady anchor. The steady, safe presence that they can borrow until they find their footing again. And that fixing it's not the goal. It's just being there with them through it.
Thanks for that. I suppose that's our challenge for today. When those big feelings hit, don't rush to repair, just show up. You don't have to get it right. You just have to be present. Let us know how you go. You can write to us at hello@mumsattetable.com with your thoughts, reflections, or even a question that you've got about parenting. Don't forget to read Dr. Tash's full article on being with our children at mumsattetable.com, or check out the link in the show notes. If you found today's episode helpful, please subscribe and share it with a friend who might need a little self-compassion today. See you next time on Mom to Mom with Dr. Tash, and see you next time, Dr. Tash.
See you later. Thanks, Melody.
Bye.